I used to be obese.
Oh,
Surprisingly.
wow.
Yeah,
Could have
that
never
was,
guessed. Wow, I love that. I love how it comes from a different place. It's not just about, oh, I just want to make people look good and all that, but it actually comes from knowledge. It comes from a place of your personal journey. And at the end of the day, it's really how you combine everything in your past together with your knowledge and as a medical doctor to bring forth the best for your patients. Yes. Hi everybody, welcome back. Today, we are honored to have Dr. Pamela Chong as our guest, a senior aesthetic doctor with Epion Clinic, a diverse medical background in microsurgery, reconstructive surgery, and general medicine. She's a leading expert in the field of aesthetic medicine and beauty. Her holistic approach and commitment to patient-centered care have made her a leading figure in the field. Today, we're excited to dive deep into the world of beauty and health with Dr. Pamela Chong. Welcome.
Thank you so much for the introduction. So hi everyone, I'm Dr. Pamela. I'm from Epion Clinic. I'm really happy to share what I know with you today.
We're excited to have you here. Maybe before we start, could you share with us, Dr. Chong, what inspired you to take on, to specialize in the field that you're specializing in aesthetic medicine?
Yeah. Okay, so I was actually trained in microsurgery,
Mhm.
which is ophthalmology, eye, and also hand surgery, hand and reconstructive microsurgery. But whenever I did microsurgery, I was always very interested in the aesthetic aspect of it.
Okay.
Yeah, so I decided as I went through the training, it's something that I can envision myself doing. So that's how I delved into the realm of aesthetic medicine.
Wow. Okay. So you mentioned also that, you're known for a holistic approach to aesthetic treatments and all that. Maybe you can explain a little bit more about how did it come about?
Okay, so maybe I can tell a private story of myself.
Ooh, okay.
So I used to be obese.
Oh,
Surprisingly.
wow.
Yeah,
Could have
that
never
was
guessed.
one day I decided that I need to lead a more healthy lifestyle to serve as an example for my patients. So I did it through regular exercise, diet, by doing caloric restriction, but also taking into account macronutrients, micronutrients, having a good balance, and as well as exercise. It's more sustainable and would recommend it for patients who are looking to just lead a healthy lifestyle or in fact or trying to lose some weight. I feel that this aspect of it actually brings out the health and wellness aspect of a person. Yeah, then that in addition to healthcare. So I would say like a marriage of this kind of approach is what I believe in.
Wow, I love that. I love how it comes from a different place. It's not just about, oh, I just want to make people look good and all that, but it actually comes from knowledge. It comes from a place of your personal journey. And at the end of the day, it's really how you combine everything in your past together with your knowledge and as a medical doctor to bring forth the best for your patients. Yes. Okay, so before we begin and diving too deep into all the serious topics first, we have a fun round of a speed, truth or myth session. Okay, so I'm just going to ask you a few questions, and what happens is that just answer what comes to your mind. If you have any explanations you want to give us to your answers, that's feel free to go ahead as well. Okay, so the first one is number one, something close to my heart. Is chocolate good for your skin?
Okay. I would say there's a plus and a minus. So for chocolate in general, it has good antioxidant properties.
Okay.
It helps with stress relieving. It produces like serotonin, like feel good hormones. Basically makes you feel happy. There is some carbohydrate. It's sweet. It's nice. Yes, I would say there are benefits to it. For chocolate that is rich in sugar, milk, and even white chocolate, which is not technically chocolate.
Right.
That leads to a process called glycation, and that is actually an aging process. It hastens the process of aging because the sugar actually binds to proteins like collagen and elastin, which is necessary for skin structure. And
wow. So chocolate is not the evil, it's actually the sugar that's found in the chocolate.
So what I would suggest is not to remove chocolate entirely because it has benefits. But I would say aim for dark chocolate, which is higher in cocoa content. Of course, eat everything in moderation.
Yes, as always. Okay, words of wisdom. All right, next question. So will drinking more water, can it instantly improve the skin appearance?
Well, instantly is a very strong word. I wish there's a miracle medicine, a miracle item for something, but unfortunately not. But hydration is a long drawn process.
Okay.
So of course water is very, very important. Hydration is good for the skin cells.
Right.
Helps with sebum control and
Okay.
of course the what we call skin turgor,
Okay.
which is the elasticity of the skin.
Ooh,
So it is more of a long-term process, and it's not just water intake that actually leads to hydration, but there's also things like skincare, using moisturizers, and in fact there are things like injectable biostimulators or region stimulators
okay.
that also plump up the skin and gives it a higher water content.
Right.
Yeah, so I would say different approaches would actually improve your appearance. So it's not just intake of water.
So it's intake of water across a period of time, prolonged period of time, consistently. And obviously there's certain things, additional things that you can help to aid the process as well, to pump it up. Okay. Now, one question which I think a lot of people are confused about, facial exercises. We have seen all kinds of funny videos that say that it can help with wrinkles and replace Botox. Is that true? Yeah.
Well, it's a bit strange that people would think that way because I would say they are both antagonistic.
Okay.
So facial exercises, okay, it is actually good in maybe improving your muscle tone because you're basically exercising the muscles, right? But Botox works in a way. Botox is actually it relaxes the muscles.
Okay.
So it's a different mechanism from activating your muscles by doing facial exercise.
So one is activating and one is relaxing.
Yeah. So you can imagine our face to be like a piece of paper. You can imagine when you are doing some facial exercises, you are basically crushing and releasing, and then you crush again and you release.
So every time we smile or we frown or we stretch our faces, that's what happens.
Yeah, so when we are young, we have good skin elasticity, right? So it can actually go back to being straight, being creaseless.
Okay.
But as we do that repeatedly over the years and multiple times, we can see like the creases actually get deeper and deeper. So your wrinkles get more and more. And eventually, the dynamic wrinkles become static. So that is when get the obvious signs of aging.
The wrinkles coming up.
Facial exercises perhaps can improve a bit of muscle tone.
Okay.
Yes, but what we want to relax the wrinkles is actually using botulinum toxin.
Right. Can I ask a little bit about what do you mean by static and dynamic wrinkles? What is the difference?
Okay, so dynamic wrinkles are wrinkles that form when your muscles are contracted. These wrinkles appear only when you are smiling and frowning. These are called dynamic wrinkles.
Right.
So these are the wrinkles that botulinum toxin targets because we are relaxing the muscles. But like I mentioned earlier, if you keep creasing the wrinkles, it forms a static wrinkle, which means that the wrinkle will be there whether you are smiling or not.
Oh, okay. So those are like the permanent ones that don't go away regardless of what your facial expressions are.
Yes,
basically
correct.
static. Okay, got it. So the last one now, we talked about exercising. Now, what about sleeping? And sleeping on, say, a silk pillow, would that actually help prevent wrinkles?
There are theoretical benefits of silk, right? So silk is smooth, doesn't irritate the skin so much when we lie on the pillow. Also more cooling, so it doesn't cause so much perspiration and heating the skin up.
Okay.
Yeah, so theoretically it can actually improve and reduce the appearance of wrinkles.
Okay.
But whether it is temporary or whether it is permanent, nobody really knows. There hasn't really been long-term studies to look at.
So no harm in that, but it's not clinically proven yet, right? Yes. Okay, good.
But if it makes you feel good, like why not?
That's true. It's comfortable, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So maybe now let's talk a little bit deeper. Dr. Chong, how does our diet, really actually impact our skin's health? Can you share some maybe lesser known facts about the effects of diets on skin? Anything you can share? Yeah.
I mean, the skin is the largest organ in the body.
Oh,
so,
that's true.
Diet actually affects the skin also to a large extent. But when we talk about diet and nutrition, there are so many different macronutrients and micronutrients. But maybe I can categorize it into 6 broad categories.
Okay.
So things like carbohydrates, proteins, fat, water, vitamins, minerals. So these are the big categories of nutrition.
Okay.
So each individual category of nutrition affects the body in a different way.
Right.
But they also work synergistically together to it could be beneficial or it could have antagonistic relationships to each other, surprisingly.
Ooh. So if you were to talk about, let's say, like you say carbohydrates and you say fats, right? So anything, earlier you mentioned a bit about sugar, that it's quite detrimental to our skin, you know. So maybe is there anything else that we should either avoid or take more of to enhance that?
Carbohydrates are actually the main energy source of the body, and it actually helps to regulate sugar levels also. Yeah. But there are good carbohydrates and there are bad carbohydrates.
Okay.
So good carbohydrates are things like whole grains, some certain fruits and vegetables like potatoes. That are good. That's good carbohydrates.
Okay.
For the not so good carbohydrates, they are like simple sugars, white bread,
fine sugars. Okay, yeah, the usual suspects that we all try to avoid in general.
Yeah. So I do recommend having like colorful vegetables because they are actually really rich in multiple vitamins like vitamin A, vitamin C. They are all essential for skin health.
Okay.
Vitamin C in particular can help with pigmentation. That's why people also use it topically to lighten pigmentation.
Right.
We use vitamin A quite often for the skin in the form of retinoids, which is a derivative of vitamin A.
I see.
So we can use it for acne, we can use it for anti-aging, to control sebum. So,
Right. So what you eat and what you put on your face is not too different after all, right? So it helps enhance within and externally as well.
Correct.
So Dr. Chang, you mentioned something about food combinations, you know. Could you share a little bit more about what kind of combinations you would recommend?
Okay, so when we talk about diet combinations, I think it's very important to take into account dietary interactions. So for example, we are talking about superfoods like carotenoids, which are bright fruits and vegetables. For example, carrots, tomatoes.
Okay.
Everyone knows that it's a good antioxidant. It has vitamin C. It's great for the body. But actually, the concentration that we can absorb is not the highest.
Okay.
But there are ways to boost this absorption, and there's also ways that limits that absorption. So for example, if you combine it with dietary proteins like meat, tofu, eggs, there is shown to be a marginal decrease in absorption. But if you are talking about, but if you combine it together with dietary fats, we're talking about good fats that contain omega-3 and 6. So for example, avocados.
Ooh, avocados, alright. That's
so
great.
that actually boosts the effect of carotenoids.
So combining good fats with vegetables that are rich in carotenoids, like tomatoes or capsicums and all that, actually helps enhance the absorption together. That's what you're trying to say.
Correct. Cooking methods and preparation actually also increases absorption. There has been a study that shown that if you actually boil tomatoes for an hour with the presence of oil, it increases the concentration of carotenoids.
Oh, so add a bit of oil to your water before you boil tomatoes.
Yeah.
That's very interesting. Would you recommend, say, a certain type of diet? Let's say, for example, if it's a whole foods, you mentioned whole foods, right? What about a whole foods plant-based diet? Would avoiding meat actually help the skin to be enhanced, for example?
So, plant-based diet has been gaining quite a bit of popularity nowadays.
Yeah, that's right.
For plant-based diets, it's actually rich in many different micronutrients that you don't typically see when you're taking meat or protein.
Okay.
Like polyphenols and carotenoids. You also get more vitamin C.
Okay.
But because of the lack of certain types of meat, or even some people who are vegan, they don't take eggs, they don't take dairy products, that actually can also lead to vitamin deficiencies.
Okay.
In particular, we look at vitamin B12. Because most of where we get vitamin B12 in the diet is from dairy or certain types of meat, like liver.
So having a B12 supplement is something that you have to be aware of if you're a vegan, especially, and that would help balance all the micronutrients and macronutrients as a whole. Okay, good to know, good to know. Okay, so let's shift gears a little bit and talk about prevent aging. Okay, something also quite close to my heart right now. Your approach, however, is known to be holistic, which is something we like to hear. So can you explain how maybe lifestyle factors will enhance aesthetic treatments? You could, share with us.
The lifestyle practices that I would recommend is what your mom will probably nag at you about, which is enough sleep and also no smoking. Actually, smoking actually produces a lot of harmful, what we call reactive oxygen species. Smoking actually causes the skin to age faster because it degrades the proteins like collagen and elastin.
Wow, it degrades collagen directly.
Yeah, to get more wrinkling, you get dullness of the skin.
Okay.
Yeah, and also nicotine and tar both causes discoloration of skin and nails and gums as well.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
That's quite a lot more than what I actually thought about. I just thought that it was bad because of all the tar that's in your lungs. We all talk about what's internal, but didn't realize that it affects the skin so directly as well.
It also increases the risk of skin cancer. So,
right.
I mean,
Yeah, it's a no-brainer not to smoke. Yeah,
not to smoke.
that's
I
true.
mean, similarly for e-cigarettes. In fact, e-cigarettes nowadays, well, first of all, it's illegal.
Yes, in Singapore it is.
Singapore, yeah. But it also contains a lot of harmful chemicals like vegetable glycerin that actually is detrimental to the body. And some of the flavorings actually contain heavy metals and even benzene, which is a carcinogen.
Wow.
Leads to cancer.
Okay.
Yeah. So it might not actually be a good substitute for traditional cigarettes.
I see. Okay. Both are bad. Just basically both are not recommended lah, huh?
Yes.
So, okay, Dr. Chong, you mentioned a little bit about sleep just now and the importance of sleep. That's something which I personally struggle with. And I think that comes from a very stressful lifestyle, right? So how do you recommend that we actually get sufficient sleep and why is it so important?
There are so many things that happen during sleep. So, for example, collagen production. So, sleep also helps you to regulate your stress hormone, which is also called cortisol.
Okay.
Yeah, it reduces inflammation. It increases the growth hormones, which help with skin cell repair. So, sleep is really, really, really important. You should get as much sleep as possible. Which is a bit difficult nowadays in this stressful environment.
Yes, that's true. A lot on your mind. You need to get out a lot of stress, Yeah. So what's the best way, do you think, to de-stress?
So there are many ways that people de-stress, right? Some people like to do some exercise because it releases some feel-good hormones, serotonin. People listen to music, talk to friends, they hang out, they do retail therapy.
Oh, wow. A lot of self-care. I think looking internally and self-care is very important, isn't it? Yeah.
Especially now that mental health is taking a lot of importance in today's society.
Yeah. So I think taking care of yourself, going for a nice, relaxing, massage or even a facial, I think that would definitely sounds like something I would do, something I would enjoy. Yeah. Okay. Are there any natural treatments or practices that are recommended? But also, are there any natural ways to remove or to improve skin health and to sort of like reduce the signs of aging?
So I would say the most important skincare regime I would recommend is actually sunblock. Sunblock.
Okay, sunblock. You heard it.
Yeah, sunblock. Traditionally, we will say we will need an SPF of 30 and above.
30.
Anything that is a bit higher, like 70, SPF of 70 and SPF of 100, to be honest, there's not much of a difference.
Okay.
But if you go below SPF 30, then it doesn't offer that much protection. Yeah. So for UV radiation, there are two main UV radiations that we talk about, which is UVA and UVB. UVA reaches deeper into the skin, and UVB is more on the surface of the skin.
Right.
But UVA is actually present throughout the day.
Wow.
Whenever the sun is up, and it can pass through clouds and glass, so it can pass through your windows even if you're at home. That's why I will always recommend sunblock whenever, even if you're at home.
As long as it's light, there is UVA.
Yes.
Okay.
And for UVB, it's more on the surface, so it's the most common one that causes sunburns and of course your skin cancers.
Okay.
So well, the good news is it's usually more prominent in 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. where the sun is at the highest, the strongest. But it can't really pass through glass. So at least you don't get a UVB when you're indoors.
I see.
So both UVA and UVB can cause skin cancer. I have something interesting to share with you.
Oh, okay.
So this is a UV mirror. So what it does is it actually shows you what is your coverage. So it has a card. Okay. That shows you what the SPF level is.
Okay.
Yeah. So when you turn on the mirror and you look at yourself,
see whether there's sufficient sunscreen, basically.
Yes.
Okay,
So
it's a test.
you can hold on to it, and then you can compare the amount of UV ray that are
that is found in the. Okay, so if it's this level of darkness, that means it's
Yes. Yeah. So this is also useful to know when you should reapply your sunblock. So traditionally we see about every 2 to 4 hours you will need to reapply sunblock. We wear masks sometimes nowadays. We tend to touch our face or we do activities out in the sun that causes a lot of perspiration. So that actually removes the UV coverage as well. So it would be pertinent to reapply your sunblock whenever you are doing activities, for example in the water or if you are going to be sweating a lot.
Good to know. So reapply your sunblock whenever. And this is a great tool to help check that. Yeah. Okay, so Dr. Chong, could you maybe explain to us, some examples of personalized treatments that can combine nutrition as well as aesthetics together to help, each patient individually customizing something from inside out? Yeah.
You want to talk about an anti-aging or a radiant skin type of program. So you need to have, first and foremost, nutrition from inside out.
Okay.
Then you can do external treatments to augment this process. Yeah. So we do have a nutritionist that can help to look at what's your current lifestyle habits, diet-wise.
Okay.
To make some recommendations on how it can be improved. From the medical side of things, we can look at things like lasers or injectable treatments to help to boost the skin radiance.
Wow, I love that. I love how you're looking at it from a really holistic point of view. And it's not just about what external treatments that you can like inject or laser off or and things like that, but really how can you sustain that whole process and that whole treatment such that it really help enhance the whole person's inside out, right? Yeah.
We also want to empower people to take care of their own health by following up with them with both nutrition and also in the medical side of things. And also even skincare recommendations.
Okay.
Things that they can do at home while they are not doing lasers with us. I think that would actually contribute to the entire wellness of someone.
I think so. If you empower somebody with the knowledge, number one, as well as with the treatments that you do, giving them the ability to do it from home, giving them the ability to understand why, I think that really empowers them and it is a long-lasting solution. Yeah.
Yes, indeed. Yeah.
So maybe we talk a little bit about the lasers and the, injectables and all that. So a lot of us are slightly cautious when it comes to these things. So maybe how can you share a little bit about how do you ensure, safety and convenience and with all these very advanced technologies that layman people like us may not understand. So could you break it down a little bit for us to demystify some of the common concerns? Yeah.
Earlier, I would usually recommend a detailed consultation so that I can understand my patient's needs, my patient's wants, and also what their concerns are. So based on that, I can tailor a kind of treatment program.
Okay.
Patient safety is of utmost importance to me. Yeah, so things that are FDA approved and also things that are scientifically proven to work. So these are the types of treatments that I would recommend to my patients.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it sounds like you would recommend only what is needed, what is necessary, definitely, right? Yeah. That if you don't need to go in for any laser, any topical treatments is sufficient, then you would just stop there. And then you only step by step to progress on to whatever that's necessary.
Correct.
As we close, thank you so much for sharing all that valuable information. We want to focus on indulgence and health here. If you had to choose one indulgent treat, to enjoy daily without consequences, what would that be?
There's so many things that I would love to consume without consequences. But I would say I'm a fan of berries. They just look pretty, but they're tasty and they're packed full of nutrients. Yeah, so I would say it's something that makes me feel a little bit less guilty for snacking.
But yet still thoroughly enjoyable, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Awesome. Wow, what a good suggestion. Yeah, berries. Well, thank you very much, Dr. Chong. It's been wonderful and having a wonderful chat with you. And I learned so much. I hope all of you have too. Yes, and we look forward to seeing you again. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, it's a wrap.